Hello and welcome to Getting Your Money's Worth, the show that focuses on value. I'm Judith West, and our guest today is Brett Wilder, financial planner and author of The Quiet Millionaire. The Quiet Millionaire. I don't know, I think if I had $1 million, I don't know if I'd be quiet, Brett.
Well...
but people who have it are.
Yeah, well, not everybody.
Okay, The Quiet Millionaire. Tell me something. What does that mean?
Well, you do hear about the wealth of Donald Trump and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, but you don't hear about the wealth that's accumulated by thousands of people who do the right things that they're supposed to do to accumulate money. And in today's world, really, $1 million is not a lot of money.
I was going to say to you, maybe with time you may have to change this to the Quiet Billionaire.
Yeah, well, that's coming fast.
It used to be that in the 90s, to acquire $1 million made you a millionaire, and you felt like a millionaire.
Yes.
Now, I don't know, I can't speak to all parts of the country or the world, and I don't want to sound, elitist, but in a lot of urban areas, $1 million before taxes doesn't translate into wealth.
That's right. And people very often think of $1 million as a lot of money. And it is in some ways, but really today it's necessary to have that kind of wealth accumulated. And it really is on your back. It's your responsibility today to do this. And I think the problem is that most people don't pay attention to the things that they need to do to accumulate money.
Yeah, well, you talk about this in your book, but, I want to ask you something. I know a lot of smart, intelligent, pretty solid citizen people that are in a lot of trouble financially. You would think that if you had those qualities of intelligence and good reasoning powers and your feet on the ground, you'd manage to stay solvent.
Yes.
Where is the disconnect?
They're not doing three basic things.
And what are they?
Number one, they don't have a destination that is specific.
They don't have, what do you mean
they don't know their goals and objectives. They haven't set specific goals and objectives. For example, somebody could say, I would like to retire in my 60s. That's not specific. They should get more specific. They should say, I would like to retire at age 65, live on $100,000 a year after taxes and today's dollars. That is an example of being specific. Now you can measure what you need to do to get there.
Okay, so that's one thing. Because we have an audience here, and you're here to help them become a quiet millionaire.
Yes.
By the by, if you help me too, it's okay.
Okay.
So be specific, but really specific. Not just I want to retire happy. Yeah. I want to retire with an income, with an age, and a geography.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's one kind of goal.
Yes.
What's another kind of goal?
Well, the second step to this is to comprehensively plan. In other words, don't do things piecemeal. Think about everything tying together. Investments tie together with taxation, and retirement ties in very often with people's lives relative to planning for college for their children. $1 spent on college is $1 away from retirement. So people need to be comprehensive in their planning and not be piecemeal.
Well, listen, we have young people watching this show. We have people watch this show 25 to 35. Are you telling them to think now, today, about where they want to be when they retire?
Yes, because it's a lot easier the earlier you start. And if you start later...
25 and 30-year-olds just want to live and have fun.
Yeah, and this is one of the obstacles to financial wealth. Is that there's 7 obstacles described in the book, and that's one of them. And that's spending without discipline, emotional spending. Reacting and buying, having materialistic thinking.
What you're saying is really, if you're on the younger side of the equation to retirement, and after all, you do want to have fun, you're entitled to have fun, to perhaps set aside a discretionary amount of money that you're going to spend for fun and not go over it.
That's right.
Plan your fun money, if you would.
Exactly.
Is that a good way to say it?
That's one of the things. But sometimes it's difficult to think about retirement when you're in your 20s.
Yeah, right.
But I think one of the things, regardless of your age, you should be thinking in terms of having a positive cash flow. In other words, make more money than you spend. Stay out of what I call bad debt, because debt just robs your wealth.
Yeah, and it also puts a lot of stress on you.
Oh, it's tremendous.
But speaking of bad debt and stay out of trouble, What do you think of these ATM machines that are all over?
ATM machines, I would stay away from, and I'll tell you why. Because if you're going to keep track of your money, where you're spending it, if you go to the ATM machine and take the cash out and just use it, you don't know where it went. You can't even begin to think in terms of what's a good spending plan.
What did people do before they had ATM machines?
They had healthier cash flows. Yes.
And the other thing that really gets under my skin is that you have to pay somebody to get your own money.
Yeah, well, it's gotten pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. I mean, some people pay I don't know how much some people pay a month just to get out their own cash.
Yeah, that's right. And the big part of it, though, is that with debt, the cost of debt today is it's outrageous.
Well, you know, anybody can get a credit card, at least until a couple of months ago. I don't know now if there's going to be a change. But credit cards were sort of given out willy-nilly to anybody. And, you know, I have to say, it wasn't all that unusual to stand. I'm not a Starbucks drinker. I wouldn't spend that kind of money on coffee. But friends of mine who do, tell me that they saw people standing in Starbucks paying for their latte or whatever they're paying for with a credit card.
Yeah.
I know from my own kids that there are kids that order pizzas in college and pay for it with a credit card.
Yes.
They're going to be paying interest on that pizza that they ate 2 months ago.
Yes. And it
what's
gets even
wrong?
worse. I'll tell you how this can get even worse. So let's say you bought that cup of coffee or you went and took a vacation using a credit card. Now you're not paying on the credit card. You should be paying these off every month. But let's say you didn't. Now let's say you own a home, you have equity in your home. Very often people will go out and refinance their house, pay off the credit card, and in essence be paying for that coffee for 30 years.
Yeah, well, and that was before some of this recent blight that we have with all of that, too.
Yes.
You know, you make it sound simple.
It is.
But, and I would like to believe that it is, but, you know, we are in a state now where there is a negative savings rate in this country.
That's right.
People don't save.
Yes.
That idea of put away $1 for a rainy day seems to have gone out of style in the same way that weathermen's predictions have gone out of style.
Mm-hmm. Well,
how do you account for that?
Well, it permeates down from the top. Our government spends more than it should be. We have a huge. 25 years ago, we were the biggest creditor nation in the world. Today, we're the biggest debtor nation in the world. And you have all these different things happening, whether it be the government spending for the wrong reasons, we individually spend for the wrong reasons. We have undisciplined spending. It's out of control. And I'm hoping that a book like this, for example, will start to put some perspective on what you really need to do.
Okay. So let's say it's a given. People do not have good spending habits. They don't have good saving habits. The government doesn't have good saving habits. But that's the government. It's me. I want to change. You've convinced me. I want to reform.
All right.
Okay. So now, in the time that we have left, help me reform.
Okay.
I want to stay out of trouble. What's the first thing I do?
Well, it gets back
it gets back to the setting of goals. But even after I have the goals, then what's the first thing I do to begin to implement a plan to get to my goals, whatever they are?
It really is to do just that, to plan comprehensively and think about it.
A plan how? On paper? Are you suggesting paper and pencil?
Well, if it has to get down to that, but very often the thing you need to do is pull the information together in some sort of a structured basis. One of the things that I advocate, and there's an example of in the book, is what I call a financial management review. And there, in fact,
kind of like a blueprint or something?
It has all these worksheets to gather information, and then either you do it yourself with your own research or take it to an advisor and say, here are my things, here is what I'm all about.
I met you, you're a financial advisor, I like you. I put my stuff together. How do I know if I don't want to embarrass myself. How do I know if I have enough money to go to you? And anyway, you sound good, you look good, but how do I know you are good?
These are excellent questions.
So can you help me with those two?
Yeah, because very often, more times than not, unfortunately, people do get hooked up with the wrong advisor.
So how much money do I need to go to you?
That's a difficult question to answer sometimes. Some people have more money.
In a word.
In a word?
Approximately, a range.
I would say somewhere between Well, it depends on the type of an advisor. That's, like I said, a difficult question. A fee-only advisor is what I recommend.
A fee-only advisor.
Somebody who is not being paid a commission.
So even if I don't have a lot of money, I can still go to you for counseling.
Yeah, and there's some advisors.
But how do I know if you're any good? How do I know that
There are some places. There's a website, for example, for fee-only advisors, the National Association of Personal Advisors, NAPFA. It's NAPFA.org.
Okay.
They will, throughout the country.
Can I go there if I'm already in trouble?
Well, you're not going to find.
Not.
Yeah, not really. You're not going to find an advisor if you're already in trouble.
Where do I go if I'm already in trouble, Brett?
I'm hoping you're not going to be in trouble.
Well,
first
I'm hoping
of all.
not, but but maybe I have a cousin out there, or a relative that is a watcher, a listener, a viewer.
Well, I think the first thing to do is really understand your cash flow. I mean, you can do that on your own.
Yeah.
And basically, what am I spending? What can I cut back on? Where can I make some more money? Get a positive cash flow. That's critical, whether you're an individual or a business.
So really, the truth tell, if you're spending more than you're making, you're in trouble.
Yes.
And you have to bring it to an end.
Yes.
And if you're already not spending more than you're making, but you don't feel that you're on a path.
Yes.
A path to financial solvency for the rest of your life, you should go to a financial advisor.
Yeah.
In either event, it's not hopeless.
It's not hopeless at all. I mean, really, if you do what you're supposed to.
People, if you take some action now,
yes,
in either way, you can help yourself get out of trouble, or you can put yourself on a good path. And one of the ways that you can help yourself do that is to read The Quiet Millionaire.
Oh, it's suggested.
Right, okay. I'm Judith West. Thank you for watching. You're watching Getting Your Money's Worth, and we've had with us Brett Wilder, financial analyst and financial manager, really, who hopefully has given all of us getting our money's worth. Thank you for being on the show.